Our speaker for today is somebody who loves to speak. She does. She's a natural. You know, some people think, oh my God, I gotta get up. But this one, yeah, she comes alive up here. And you know who I mean? It's Reverend Joyce.
Karen, that song, that was the talk today. I mean, the love. And it was just so beautiful, so beautiful. I just happened, on my book, it says, for the love of God. And it says, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. And that's from Martin Luther King Jr. And this was February 2020. And it's all the colors of life, love, all the colors of life too, all the colors of love. And of course I love color, and people were noticing that my shoes matched my jacket. Yay! And this was kind of a last minute thing because I've been having issues with a knee problem. That's why I've been zooming it for most of the last month or so. I think I was in an exercise class, and I had the exercise bands that you use for stretching, and I picked the blue one, not knowing that was the hardest one, but it matched my outfit. So and then I must have pulled a ligament in my knee, but I've been kind of gimping around, and but it's feeling a little better today. I'm very fortunate about that. I had the most wonderful drive-in this morning, and when I woke up this morning and looked outside, I saw nothing but fog. It was really, I couldn't even see the mountains across the street on High Mountain Road. And I said to myself, may the way be clear before me when I leave to go into town. And of course, it's winding roads and it's a long distance in. It takes me over a half an hour to get here. But I have never had, in the 28 years that I've lived out on High Mountain Road, I've never had a drive-in like I had today. There were no big vehicles in front of me because I live Lopez Lake, the recreation area. They have a lot of big vehicles that pull out on Sunday to go home, and I get behind them and it takes me longer to get here. But there were absolutely, I've never had it be no car, no truck, no van in front of me all the way in. I've never had that before, and it was clear all the way. And one of the most wonderful things that I experienced were little quail running across the road, tiny little the mother was going and the father, and the tiny little babies, they're like little tiny things running across the road, and driving slowly enough that I wouldn't hit them. But then I get to another section of the turn, and there were 5 does just in the road, and the biggest one took off, but the 4 smaller ones wanted to go right in front of me, and they held me down. So they were dancing along right in front of my car. It slowed me down, but I had, I enjoyed their cuteness. They were so cute. Anyway, that was my morning drive-in, and I was so grateful for that. And my talk today is Love Points the Way, and I remember when I first read that, when I read those words in my Science of Mind text as part of the required reading for my practitioner studies, this was back in the early 90s, I couldn't quite grasp the meaning. And I came to learn that love and law are the 2 main principles of the Science of Mind philosophy. Love points the way, the law makes it possible. How many of you heard that expression before? Okay. And so, yes, and Richard, I love Alan Watts too. He's very in the mind. Yeah, has a lot of thoughts that you have to ponder after you read him. So I came to learn that the love and law are the 2 main principles of the Science of Mind philosophy. In the words of Ernest Holmes, love is the divine givingness of spirit. The divine givingness of spirit. It's activated by our conscious thoughts of oneness and of knowing the truth of who we are. So knowing the truth of who I am, this is a lifetime experience to learn the truth of who we are and to accept who we are and to make the changes that we need to make a few adjustments in the things that we believe or things that we practice. It's all a growing experience, and it's Yeah, one time when I was taking my class in practitioner studies, the instructor had us bring something or have something that we hold in our hand and go within. And I chose this bracelet because it has a lot of meaning to me. And I held it and went within and asked what it is I need to know. And the words came to me so clearly, and this was back in 90, 91, 92. And it was, I have to say, as I am going through I have to be more compassionate. And that's what I've learned about the issue with my knee. I have to be more compassionate with my aging body and to know that I do what I need to do to take care of it. And it sometimes is a challenge, especially when I've always been a wordsmith. I've been a teacher most of my life, and words come to me so easily. But as I've gotten to be nearly 87 on my next birthday in April, I just feel like sometimes I can't grasp those words. But now I know, and it takes a time. Sometimes it takes time, and I'm learning to be patient with myself. So be patient with yourself and know that the words will come, because they did just now. To love and to be loved, that is what came to me. To love and to be loved, that's the most important thing in this lifetime that I'm experiencing, and that's what came to me so clearly. This bracelet told me that, and I wear this. I think of it as my power bracelet. So I got this at the swap meet down in Orange County in Costa Mesa. That's where I lived for almost 40 years. I went to the swap meet, and it's solid silver, and it was $25. And it was made, and it has a name inside of an Indian that made it, and I love Indian jewelry, and this was a name that scribbled down inside. So, and to me, I don't know if you can't see it from where you are, but it looks like a sunset or sunrise, and so that's kind of how I look at this. I've had a really rough week. I have to share, before I read the rest of what I've written here, I want to tell you that Tuesday I had a really fun day. I got to go out to lunch with two of my friends, and one of my friends just was recovering from Bell's palsy, which I didn't know much about that, but it was pretty scary to learn about that. And I was looking forward to getting away from the ranch for a while. Went out to feed the horses and found one of my horses just lying flat out, breathing hard, and I thought he was going to die. He was just shaking all over, and his legs were just stiffed out. And I gave him some Banamine. I tried to get him up. He got up, and he started walking around a little bit. Then he'd lay down again. Got up, lay down again. He did this, kept doing this. He kept pawing at the ground, kicking at his stomach. I knew he had colic. Really bad colic, and that can kill a horse. I called the vet. I gave him some Banamine, because I always keep that on hand, the Banamine, and that helped a little bit. And by the time that the vet came out, he seemed to be doing much better. But what I know, and if you have horses, with this very cold weather that we've been having weather like in the 30s, temperature in the 30s out where I live, and the temperature there and that morning was around 38. And so what happens with horses, they don't like to drink water because the water is so cold. So what I've been doing now is carrying jugs of hot water down to their hot water trough and pouring that in their water trough, and also mixing up a combination of alfalfa oat pellets with hot water to make them so that they can eat something that will give them moisture in their stomach. So anyway, I don't know what's going on with my voice today. I think it's because sometimes when we're under a lot of stress, we have to take a deep breath. Whoops. So I want to say good morning to my Zoomites, because I've been on Zoom for the last 4 weeks, I think. And it's fun to get on there and be able to communicate with the people on Zoom. And I love coming here, of course, and getting the hugs. I don't get the hugs when I'm on Zoom, but I love to be here and personally see you. And it's my unity community, which I appreciate so much. And to me, that is to love and to be loved. That's who I am. But I'll go on to, if I can take a deep breath and just know that what I have written here is the words of Ernest Holmes. Love is the divine givingness of spirit, activated by our conscious thoughts of oneness and of knowing the truth of who we are. So that's what for all my years of being here on this earthly plane, just knowing who I am and knowing the truth of who I am, and going back to those words, to love and to be loved. If I can only do that, that's enough, to love and to be loved, but to love ourselves as well. And to know that love is that divine givingness and that God is love. He is the personification of love. And to me, that when I think of God, I think of love with capital L-O-V-E. And that to me is so important to remember. And then when I think of the law, Emerson said, love is a synonym for God. Love is a synonym for God. That's Emerson. And law is a blind force, the subjective state of consciousness based on feeling rather than on facts. It is impersonal. It's neutral. This is law I'm talking about. It does not play favorites. It responds to all alike, and it is a creative energy. So when we speak our word, our word is so powerful. That's when I said, my way is clear before me. That was my word that I spoke this morning before I left my home. And there was no fog on the way, and there was no cars in front of me, and I've never had that happen before. And I know that this works. Our word is so powerful, and our thoughts are so powerful. So when I find myself going down a rabbit hole in my thinking, I say, cancel, cancel. That's not the truth of who I am. And I bring myself back to the truth of who I am. And we can all do that. There's just, for me, there's just so many things that I'm dealing with in where I live out on Feather Ranch. It's a 45-acre property, and it's a lot of care, a lot of things that have to be taken care of. And I love my animals, my horses, my dogs, my cat. And my dogs have been behaving themselves. Usually I talk about them, Toby, Lucy, and they're getting better as they're aging. They're 7 years old now. And I know that I've talked about them since the time they were puppies. 2018, I talked about how I ended up getting 2 because they were free and they needed good homes. And that was the craziest thing I had done in a long time. Raising 2 very active dogs, blue tick hound, German short-hair pointer, and Toby has this strong sense of smell, and he'll start barking, and he goes out there, and I hear him running all over the property. I hear his howling, like he's on a scent, and I'm thinking the neighbors must be great. I'm glad my neighbors are far away. They don't hear the dogs, but I hear them. But he always comes back, and they must know that they're loved, and they know where they're loved the most, and they come back to Feather Ranch. And of course I feed them too. And that's why food is important, right? Anyway, let me get a drink of water here. Okay, I read what I wrote here. All laws of nature respond to our use, whether we know how to use them or not. And an analogy would be the law of electricity or the law of gravity. It says, and as with an understanding of any law, it must first pass through our conscious mind before we can make use of it. This is some of the hardest thing for me to do on my property, since my husband is no longer helping me and he's passed away a couple of years ago, is just to figure out how things work. Even the heater, my 4-seer heater, figuring out how it works. And I'll figure it out and I'll know it. And then another time I'll go and try to figure out, okay, when does it come on in the morning? When does it go off? And I have a great big tank that's propane, and I kept going out there checking the propane, and it was down to less than 5% in this really cold weather. And I kept calling the propane company. I said, come out here and fill my tank. I said, oh, it's so low, and I don't want to be stuck without any heat. But I do have a fireplace, and I do have wood that I've gathered around the property, so I could have a fire and sit in front of it. So I'm okay, and I have lots of clothes I can warm up. But anyway, we do what we need to do and not get overwhelmed by it. And that's what my lesson is in this life, this lifetime, to know that I'm not alone, that I can always go within and ask for God to guide me and to show me the way, and to create the peace within my soul and within my body, and to breathe. The breath is so important. That is the breath of God, breathing in and holding it and breathing out. And I'll do that now as I go to my second page here. Love points the way. Whatever we think, believe in, feel, visualize, vision, image, read, talk about, whatever affects or is impressed upon us goes into the subjective state of our thought, thus becoming our individualized use of this immense creative power, this creative force. And this is speaking our word and our thoughts and how we express that. It's so important. The mind must conceive before the creative energy can produce. We must supply the avenue through which it can work. It is ready and willing. It is the nature to spring into being through our thought and action. The New Thought philosophy has many names for God, all representing the one source of all life, the eternal beingness, infinite intelligence, the divine spirit, mind with a capital M, to name just a few. Dr. Holmes referred to the law with a different name as well, the law of mind and action, and the creative medium, and the great mental law of the universe. We use this law whether we know it or not. The law always says yes. Remember, it's impersonal, it doesn't play favorites, responds to all alike, and is a creative energy that responds to the power of our words and thoughts, whether negative or positive. And you've heard the law of attraction, and we attract to us at the level of our belief, as conceive, believe, and receive. And the law of correspondence, mental equivalency corresponds or is equivalent to the power of our words and our thoughts and beliefs. We attract into our experience that which corresponds to the sum total of our state of consciousness. The law of cause and effect. Effect is that which did not make itself, but must have a power back of it, causing it to be. All manifestations, all body is effect and is subject to the cause. When I remember, well, I want to say the truth is this: there is only one divine intelligence, one source of knowledge, one all-encompassing energy in the universe. It is the wholeness, perfection, and completeness within each one of us. We are individualized expression of the one life that is God. We are individualized expressions of the one life that is God. There's in this wholeness, there's a book called it's called This Thing Called You. Have any of you read that book, This Thing Called You? This is a real powerful little book. It's Ernest Holmes, it's one of my favorite books. So far, since I had all the flooding and everything was moved upstairs, I've been still looking for that little book. All my books, all my stuff, a lot of it's upstairs after the whole bottom floor was flooded out in 2023. I've still not all back together, but I'm working on it. But anyway, This Thing Called You, I've read it again and again, and it's such a powerful reading. It's not as daunting as the Science of Mind textbook. I read that, my thoughts were last year for 2024, this is what I had planned to do, and I did. I read the whole book again, and it's just, there's so many parts that I don't quite understand, but by going into meditation on those words that are written, it helps me to understand it a little bit better. Ernest Holmes wrote this book back in 1926, and afterwards then he founded the Science of Mind magazine in 1927, and that's, I still receive, not since 1927, but I receive copies of that for many, many, many years. And it's what that and the science and the Unity books, they're so compatible, and that's why I am here with Unity. I mean, it's just so compatible with the Science of Mind philosophy, and it's just, to me, we just, it's up to each one of us to allow time, and this is one of my biggest problems for me, has been up until now, is just allowing time to be still. And I talked to you years ago about sit, stay, pray, and then all will be okay. And that to me is my mantra: to sit, to stay, to pray. And when I do that, things become much easier for me throughout the day. And it's been something that in my lifetime Some of the things that as I'm experiencing, I'm going to do a talk on aging. I know Chris is doing such a wonderful job with aging, and aging with attitude is so important. And I think that to me, it helps me move through the days that I live, and to know that every day to have something that you're joyful about, and to be able to laugh, and to enjoy music, to enjoy our animals. Many of you have pets, and how we are so close to our pets, and just calling a friend every day. Just make sure you contact someone every day. When Ruth talked last week about are you lonely or only, and she talked about there's a difference between feeling lonely, or feeling only, where you enjoy just being here, only you, and be able to enjoy that peace that passes all understanding when you are in that place of only you. And I like that. Ruth said she was going to be here today, but I don't see her. Oh, she is here. Hi, Ruth. She is here. Hi. Well, yeah, of course, you're a secretary, and you had to be here for our meeting today, so I'll move through this really quickly. All right, getting down to all the words that I wrote here. This thing called you is love. That's what this thing called you is. That you are that love that God is. You are that individualized expression of the love that God is. And so almost done. I have, what I'm saying is love who you are, and love is who I am. By being the love that we wish to see in our lives, we allow our divine nature to be expressed and impressed upon the world. We do this through spiritual conviction, through faith and acceptance, by acknowledging the essence of the power of prayer when we speak our word. When we speak our word is powerful. Watch what you say, watch what you're thinking. They in Al-Anon, in the 12-step program, they talk about stinking thinking. So I remember that, because I was in Al-Anon many years ago, and I still have many of the books from Al-Anon, and it helps me sometimes to reread those and move through days that I'm having struggles. So in conclusion, I'd like to just read what the last page of the Science of Mind text. These are the words that Ernest Holmes wrote. The essence of spiritual mind healing, and in all true religious philosophy, is an inner realization of the presence of perfection within and around and about. It is the hope of heaven, the voice of God proclaiming, I am that which thou art which I am. I am that which thou art that which I am. Those are powerful words for me. We are each one expressions, that individualized expressions of the one life that is God. Hold that in your heart today, and for the days if you're having struggles, God is, I am, and all is well. And I have a really pretty closing prayer I'd like to share with you. And I'd like you to just join me in inner celebration as you just go within. And just in this moment, I open my heart to the fullness of love within me. I know that this love nurtures and sustains me, as it does all life. I look about my world and I see it peopled with the love and the intelligence of the universe, drawn to me through my own consciousness. I know that all of my words, all of my actions come from that love intelligence that is the very essence of my being. I now step forward with all people, with all of life, into new and greater expressions, deeper awareness and greater intimacy with the love within us all. And so knowing, I delight in its unfoldment in my world, in my experience, and within my heart. And as I know this for myself, I know this for each one of you. And that is my message this morning. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.